Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Davo from Archon Esports, bringing you another 1v1 StarCraft 2 cast today. This time our map is Antigua Shipyard, and this time it is a TVT. In the bottom of the map today we have our blue Terran to start with, who is EmpireHappy. And then in the left side of the map we have our red Terran, who is prOpBobson. Prop is actually short for property. They're a Swedish StarCraft 2 team. They're a very, very good StarCraft 2 team. They're quite up and coming, as it were. I believe Bobson is one of their more senior kind of players. I'm yet to be proved wrong on that, so if anyone has any information on that, just come in and give me a shout and tell me what I'm saying wrong, and I'll be quick to try and correct as best I can. And then in the bottom side we have Happy, who is a very good player indeed. He is Russian, of the age of 20. He was the top of the EU servers for absolutely ages. He also wins a lot of tournaments. He's a very, very good player indeed. He's definitely one to look out for. Obviously Happy building a supply depot here in the mist, so his opponent can't actually see it or see what's going on, and of course the supply depot will also help him see any sort of drop play that is coming later on in the game. I mean far later on in the game, but hey, nonetheless it means Happy is prepared and ready to go as far as drop play is going on. We do have a barracks coming down for actually both players at this point in time. Both the barracks are coming down on pretty similar timings, but the difference is at the moment there is no barracks going down for Bobson, so that might say to me that he's going for a more marine orientated play, but that is yet to be seen. Happy has got his refinery down, so we might see some tanks from him at least. The map today is Antigua Shipyard, which I don't think I've said yet in this cast, but I may have done. Of course, the watchtower in Antigua Shipyard, in TVTs as well, actually, it's usually quite important. But with this particular setup here, where the opponents are, I would say, close by air, maybe. Where the opponents are close by air. Well, I don't think there is a close by system on this map, there's only cross positions. Anyway, when the opponents are like this, basically, where they're not cross positioned, the watchtower only plays a limited role in the actual game's turnout. Because obviously you don't have to move armies through the middle of the map in order to get to your opponent's base. It does look like this SCV will get murdered pretty quickly by these two marines here that are chasing it down right now. Bobson seeing that there is a supply depot here and trying to make the AI lose the SCV in the shadows there. It's a little trick where you make a unit go in and out of the smoke and it will eventually lose the AI that is following it, but not that time unfortunately for that poor SCV. There is a command center on the way down here for prOpBobson as well, and a bunker at the top of the ramp, which can be notoriously hard to break in the early game and the mid game. That SCV there doesn't look like he will want to be trespassing further into Bobson's territory at this point in time, because Bobson does have some marines on top of the ramp ready to go with their machine guns. Excellent. I wonder if the machine guns have burst settings or whatever. I don't know, it'd be pretty interesting. I think it'd be quite interesting to see a kind of a Call of Duty-esque StarCraft game, but strictly speaking, as far as that goes, actually my opinions on that kind of thing, okay, here are strictly my opinions. I kind of have a feeling that basically if StarCraft was to be ported into any other kind of game that wasn't RTS, it might ruin the franchise. For example, Warcraft 3 was a really, really good RTS, but since World of Warcraft came along, I'm not too sure we'll be seeing a Warcraft 4 anytime soon, so, you know, I think people might see what I mean in that respect. That's all. As much as I'd love to see a StarCraft MMO or a StarCraft first-person shooter, I'd really hate it at the same time, because I like the strategy aspect of the game far, far too much, and I know that we might never see the strategy aspect again if those things happen. Needless to say, enough of the seriousness here. We do have an orbital command going down for both players now. Obviously expanding pretty early, pretty standard play at this level of play, where the players are very, very good indeed. And it does look like Happy will be going for his tanks pretty quickly. Also, he's getting his siege tech done as well. At the moment, prOpBobson's army does outnumber that of Happy pretty radically. Oh wait, no, they're essentially the same. It's just Happy has tanks, so I am talking a load of rubbish. try not to listen to me. Well, or at least what I just said. Anyway, oh dear. So of course, what is good at the top of the ramp even? Bunkers. What is good at the top of another ramp is tanks, especially tanks that have deploy. Deploy is about to finish, so the siege tank will be able to rain pain on marines, and I do love the saying rain pain, simply because it rhymes, and I'm in that kind of mood today. Both players looking pretty even on what they actually have, but we do have Banshees coming from prOpBobson right about now as well. So we will see some harassment coming in against Happy, which will be pretty damaging at this point in time, I'm going to say, especially if those Banshees finish cloak in time. Happy will have to make sure that he has enough scans ready to go and detect those Banshees pretty quickly if that starts going down. Otherwise the Banshees could start doing a hell of a lot of damage. Cloak or stealth, I believe. Yeah, cloak is not actually finished yet on these Banshees, so the Banshee will have to be kind of careful and will have to utilise micro in order to get out of tricky situations like the situation that he is finding himself in right now. Ooh, and he does want to avoid Sheev and does want to avoid those stim marines. This tank here is trying to get a piece of them, even though he cannot shoot. He cannot shoot Banshees down. Unfortunately, the ramp going down there as well, the supply depot, allowing those marines easier passage back and forth from the aggressing Banshee. Another Banshee on the way as well. It's high time that this Banshee actually has cloak, which he does now. Missile turrets going down, which will completely mean that the cloak is pretty much useless. But here we go, there is a scan going down from Happy, and that Banshee will die pretty quickly. Kaboom, up in a puff of smoke, but no worries, there is another Banshee ready and waiting just there. I don't think Happy is in a massive amount of trouble just yet. He does have enough energy for another scan, but he wants to make sure his Banshee won't fly away. I think he needs to just basically make sure the Banshee won't fly away. He's not going to be wasting any energy on scans that aren't going to take the Banshee down. The Banshee is flying away now. And awesome, still cloaked, mind. It should probably decloak sometime soon. Save that energy up. It'll probably decloak on its by itself in a second. Anyway, there we go. So both players' composition looking fairly similar at the moment. Bobson just getting his stim upgrade up right now, whereas Happy has had his for a little while. Happy also having a few more tanks, obviously because he has opted not to go for the Banshee play with stealth, which consumes a lot of gas amongst other things. At the moment, Happy has a pretty good sense of map control. He has the Marine in the middle here. Another Marine here, just waiting to see if any crafty expansions are going to be coming down at all. We're having Vikings wards just here, and it does look like that Viking will get taken down from Happy pretty quickly. However, the Banshee having a little bit of a poke against the refinery, but nothing too serious. It is now going back to base. We have a small army kind of rallying here outside Bobson's base, and it'll be pretty interesting to see what happens here. But Happy is on the warpath right now as well. He will need some scans saved up and ready to go just in case those Banshees try to intervene in any sort of attack that goes on. Happy does have about 80 energy on both of his command centers right now, so of course. And there's the scan, and boom, down goes another Banshee, just in time, not letting it get away at all. But one thing these Marines will not want to walk into is these tanks, and here we do have the classical Terran versus Terran situation, where they will just simply sit and face off with each other, and you get this kind of no man's land in between, where nothing strolls apart from these little drones, which are called Automaton 2000s. Excellent, it does look like Bobson might be going for a little bit of a drop now in order to entice Happy to go and attack him, thus running into the siege tank lines and essentially losing the game. That is yet to be seen, to see if it will happen or not. Bobson needs to get in there before those missile turrets actually finish, which it does look like he'll be able to do pretty nicely. Happy not getting enough time to cancel that missile turret, but it doesn't look like there'll be any point doing that anyway now, seeing as Bobson has been able to take out the SCV that is building it. And that siege tank that is in Happy's base absolutely ruining that drop of Marines there. Only little bits and chunks of Marine are left. Happy has actually pulled back from the battlefield here, so it has that little kind of poke has given Bobson a little bit of breathing room and a little bit of map control as well. Bobson also going for an expansion right now as well, so it does look like Bobson does have things pretty thoroughly in control right now. He's been aggressive, but not too aggressive, just right. Happy does have a upgrade up on Bobson though. Happy has the 1 weapons upgrade, whereas Bobson is only just starting getting his weapons upgrade at all. So it is worth to note that Happy's Marines are slightly better at this point in time, and if Happy can get these siege tanks on the high ground, it could be a very, very dangerous thing as well. Bobson knows it, and he is moving his tanks in pretty quickly in order to compensate, but he needs to siege right now, catch all those Marines on the high ground. The medevacs here will give his tanks vision, but they need to be careful about these Vikings that are sniping the medevacs down. There's also quite a lot of Marines from Happy here in the base of Bobson, destroying quite a lot of the SCVs. I'm not actually sure how many of the SCVs actually got away. Not many. They are all trying to repair the orbital command there. These Marines will not want to follow though, because there is a siege tank sitting on the ramp that does look like it will just be blowing the shit out of these Marines if they are not careful. Happy here does look like he'll probably be pulling back a little bit, using the Marines for greater mobility in order to pull back. And of course bring the tanks and Vikings back with him. That's a pretty successful attack. It did damage Bobson's economy slightly, stopping him from mining very quickly, destroying quite a lot of SCVs, and forcing him to spend minerals on repairing the orbital command and various other things like that. I think Bobson perhaps wasn't actually prepared for Happy to come up this ramp either, thus there was a kind of a little bit of a struggle here coming up onto the ramp as well. It's a pretty nice play by Happy to come up onto that ramp, but Happy might want to deploy his tanks pretty soon, as Bobson does look like he is on the warpath, both teams having a pretty large amount of tanks. This is what I would call a fairly stand-up setup for a Terran army, and it does look like we're going to have some tank-on-tank action right about now as well, which is always interesting. And here we go. Ooh, boom. Some tanks going down for Happy, unfortunately. And it does look like Bobson might be dropping into Happy's base a little bit now. And this can always be a difficult situation for a Terran to deal with, where there are tanks on the low ground, and then your enemy will start dropping stuff into your base. And that can be pretty difficult to deal with, actually. One way, of course, you can deal with it is by putting a tank on the high ground. That's very, very good indeed. And we do have a lot of Marines down here from Happy with the 1-1 upgrades. Nevertheless, with 1-1 upgrades, it is still probably not a good idea for them to charge the siege tanks. And at this point in time, it doesn't look like that's what they will be doing. There is a little bit of a detachment here coming from Bobson that does look like they'll be killing these 2 Marines pretty quickly. Happy trying to establish a little bit more map control, seeing what's going on. But this time, it does look like Happy's Marines will be charging these tanks, and ooh, pulling back. Not a worthwhile attack there from Happy. Unfortunately, it was a risk, and the risk was not justified, and unfortunately Happy lost quite a lot of Marines there, courtesy of the 2 siege tanks, and indeed that one that is still standing there right now. So many scans going on at the moment, we can barely tell whose is whose, but a pretty good guess is that that is Bobson's, as it is far in Happy's territory, and we do have a pretty much a full-out charge coming now from Bobson as well, probably getting a bit bored of the siege tank play, and it does look like Bobson is actually kind of overrunning Happy at this point in time. 2 more siege tanks sitting at the top of the ramp here from Happy as well, but Bobson's advance is pretty huge, and it does look like this could be a game-winning move from Bobson, literally breaking the stereotype of the TVT and just running in there with all of his units. Of course, siege tanks are armoured and very, very good units at that, and basically it means that they can survive siege tank shells pretty easily. It does look like this siege tank on the high ground might get picked off if he is not careful. More Marines up here on the high ground that will be taken out by these siege tanks up here. This is looking very, very desperate for Happy indeed, unfortunately. There are more Marines from Bobson here taking out Happy's 3rd base as well, and it does look like this is going to be a GG from Happy, seeing as Happy has 43 supply to Bobson's 120, an ever-growing supply with more reinforcements coming in from Bobson as well. That charge was entirely justified, and couldn't have been done at a better time, in my opinion. It does look like perhaps this tank will go down as well. Nope, the tank survives with 4 HP left, but you know what doesn't survive with 4 HP left? That would be Happy's 3rd base. Unfortunately, that has been completely destroyed. There are some Marines coming up the ramp here, that will be trying to take out these tanks and various marines as well, and they have actually been able to do it, which is excellent. Bobson's aggression is coming in fast and hard right now as well, and Happy will have to be pretty careful with how he even tries to deal with this. Bobson has done so much economic damage to Happy right about now. He's destroyed all of the SCVs at Happy's expansion. He has destroyed Happy's third expansion as well. I mean, we can actually see that Happy only has one SCV left on the entire map, and Happy does GG indeed, as the situation does look a little bit dangerous, and there's parts of Orbital Command flying through the air with that kind of hilarious GoldenEye-esque explosion that my computer has managed to generate in all of its not powerful glory. If you guys ever played GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64, you'll know exactly what I'm on about, especially with regards to the rocket launchers and proximity mines and all that good stuff. It was pretty funny. The Microsoft Paint explosions. But yeah, anyway guys, thank you very much for having a watch today. Have fun playing StarCraft, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, goodbye.